This is Paul for Redneck Sports. I believe that everybody should win in life, or at least attempt to. The first three maxims of General Robert Neyland's game maxims, I believe apply to everybody. The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. If at first the game or the breaks go against you, don't let up. Put on more steam. Welcome to the channel. Now let's discuss some sports. Like, subscribe, comment. Show what your opinion is. Let me know if you like what you've seen. And I thank you for your support. If you want to contact me via social media or help me out via Patreon, it's all on a link tree down below. Okay, folks, let's talk about what kind of programs that there are out there. I'm going to take 5 programs, 4 SEC and 1 that's an ACC program. We're going to discuss the different types of programs that are out there, and we're going to discuss how this affects those teams. And these are teams that have had success now, but they're not always showing success. Sometimes they have losses. And we're going to discuss how this is affecting football all over and why you should not always blame the coach, the players. It's a mindset. It's a brand new world. We haven't had, with NIL and the transfer portal, we haven't had this kind of thing before. Now, for the new college football fans, okay, now they're used to this. But for, like me, I'm almost 50. And I remember the days of Johnny Majors at the University of Tennessee. I remember Lou Holtz. I remember Steve Spurrier. I remember these big names, Bo Schellenberger. I remember these names. And I remember the programs that they had. And we're going to discuss what each program nowadays has to deal with. And we're going to see how this is affecting college football. We're going to start with Alabama. Under Nick Saban, Alabama just dominated. A bad season after 2007 was Alabama lost 2 games. That was a bad season for Alabama. This is the creme de la creme kind of program. What he did is unheard of in modern football. And he did it by creating a program in which practices were very disciplined. Everybody knew what their position was. The first team offense practiced against the first team defense, and the recruiting was very heavily Alabama boys mixed in with the 5- and 4-star recruits of the entire nation. That's always been the case at Alabama, and Alabama has had success for 120 years or longer. So you take that with Kalen DeBoer. He's making some changes to the program, and they're being a little shaky this year because, well, it's new head coach and he's trying to instill what he wants for the program. But they're still having success. Yes, Vandy beat them this year, but it's a new system. They're trying to get used to a new system, plus Kalen DeBoer is trying to get used to the SEC. But they're still 5-1, or even better than that. So this is one way you have excellence and you keep building on that excellence at all times.
Now, I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer will weaken the team, but I think that they will be a little less than this year. They may not be, but they're still Alabama. They've still got the talent, but other teams are able to pick up people to help shake that up. Next, you have Georgia. Georgia is Alabama light in some ways. They already had success under Mark Richt, but they weren't having all that much success. Now, whereas Alabama's been picking coaches that aren't from Alabama, they decided to go with Kirby Smart at Georgia. Kirby Smart played at Georgia. He remembered when Florida did things that made him angry. And so he's got that homerism going on. Not to mention, he's got a program that was already recruiting at the highest levels, already were winning at some pretty high levels, and he just took it to that next level. He's won 2 national championships. That is near impossible in this world. Ask Ohio State, ask Michigan. In the modern day, that is not normal. So Georgia, with Kirby Smart coming in, has instituted something somewhat similar to what Alabama did, because Kirby Smart worked under Saban. And so this program has gotten a guy who loves the school. He's a homer for the school, and he's instilled into an already good program that work ethic. Now, this year they're not playing at their best, but like I said before, and but they're still considered one of the best programs in the nation. We see that they're able to recruit at a high level. They're able to go into the transfer portal and get people. Just like Alabama, they just don't have quite the Alabama oomph, so to speak. So let's go to the next program. Okay, so we're going to go with where I'm a homer. University of Tennessee. University of Tennessee for the past 15, 20 years, well, let's just say as a fan, basically a fanatic, University of Tennessee's been bad. Derek Dooley, we had some success under Butch Jones, and then he just crumbled. Lane Kiffin came in, and I don't even want to go there. Then there was Jeremy Pruitt years, and well, I don't even know what to begin to say about Jeremy Pruitt years. Here's somebody who had all the abilities to have success. He had the athletic director that would bring him success, and well, we have games that we won that are no longer listed as wins because of his actions. So Josh Heupel came in, and he's having to rebuild a team. It's a nasty rebuild because nobody wanted to come there at first, because nobody knew what was going to happen. We got over that. He started recruiting. He started bringing in. He had Alex Golish in there first. Now he's got Tim Banks on defense. We've got his mind, which is very offensively creative. And you've got to rebuild who you're bringing in. We did not have a program in place. We've got a program in place now, but we're still working on getting in the recruits. We're having to go to the portal for some of them, which brings its own little headaches. And he's building up, Heupel is, a system in which he can also recruit, which is where we got Nico Iamaleava. Hendon Hooker, though, the difference between them, Hendon Hooker, who everybody's bragging about, Hendon Hooker had already played football. He was transfer portal. Joe Milton had already played football. He was transfer portal. Now we've got a guy who had to sit behind Joe Milton, had to learn Josh Heupel's offense, but he had never played in a game. And this year, when he goes to play, oh, he had a few easy games: NC State, UTC, Kent State, but then he went up against the SEC. And the SEC, no matter how bad of a team it is in the SEC, they're still an SEC team. Vandy proved that this year. And I'll admit, I had messed that up. But this is a team that is a blend, just like what Saban had, just like what Smart has. This is a blend. And it's a rebuilding blend. Oh, but he's been there. You don't go that many years with that many losses where you don't have a lot of rebuilding, a lot of culture building. You've got to go back to stressing what General Neeland had as his maxims. But let me tell you something. We're 5-1 right now. We're going into some hard games, but we're still going to go to a bowl game this year. We're still going to get several more wins. We're not just going to go to some lower tier bowl. And the hilarious thing is, we're still in the talk for a playoff berth if we keep going. So, his program is not as in-depth as what Kirby Smart and Nick Saban have. They have a program there that is building up everybody. You see what our defense is doing under Tim Banks. We have an offense that is actually pretty decent, but we don't have depth in the O-line. Our quarterback is new. Okay, well, that's going to happen every few years. Every now and then, you're going to have to deal with little problems. I'm not throwing in the towel. Neither should you. But let's get to the next program. Now, let's go with Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin doesn't have that base of recruiting that he can go to. He's able to get some players here and there, but it's Ole Miss. He's having to compete with too many teams that are far more successful than Ole Miss. Ole Miss does not have the branding to be able to recruit on a regular basis. And so you can't really do anything with what he's got recruiting wise unless you've got the transfer portal. Hey, but he's got the transfer portal. So he's got a small group of recruits that started out there, but he's having to bring in mercenary players. And that's what transfer portal players are. They're mercenaries. They don't care about what the team culture is. They don't care about the history of the school. They only care about getting paid and getting time on TV. Well, you see with what's going on at Ole Miss, how that is affecting what should be a great year. These players had all kinds of things that could have been going right now. But instead, they're not built into a team culture. They're built into a money culture. And they don't care as long as they're getting some time on TV and they're making money. That's all they care about. And this is hurting those folks that started out at Ole Miss and are wanting to be at Ole Miss. So Lane Kiffin is having to deal with both of those, and you see how that's going. It's not a situation in which anybody wants to be a coach at, and he's having to fight to get recruits because, well, he's also fighting with LSU, he's fighting with Alabama, to a small extent Mississippi State, a little bit of Arkansas, because that's all within like a 6-hour range of driving. Their 6-hour ranges of driving for those other schools are within his. So he doesn't have that ability to do the recruiting. So now he's having to do money ball. And well, you can't do that and not have the problems that he's got right now. So that's the problem with having to focus so solely on the transfer portal. Now we're going outside the SEC for this next program, which shows an extreme switch from Ole Miss, and that is Clemson. Dabo Swinney does not like the transfer portal. He does not like mercenary culture. He wants to have players that are there because they're wanting to be at Clemson. Well, he first had to deal with the fact that DJ, yeah, we're not going to go into that. And we've seen what he has done. He transferred out of Clemson, went to, what was it, Oregon, and now he's at Florida State. And he's because he's a mercenary. He doesn't buy into a program. He buys into, hey, how much money can I make and can I get in front of the TV camera? That's all he's looking for. Well, Swinney doesn't want that. He wants a program that these people are buying into the culture of Clemson. And let me tell you, Clemson has got a deep history. And Dabo Swinney wanting to have that is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. And it's great in ACC play, as has been shown. It may not necessarily be good when butting heads with the SEC, as was shown with the Georgia game, but it doesn't mean that Clemson is less than. Clemson has built a program that people want to go to, that football players know that they will get noticed, that know that they will have value and will be built into something. And this is the old school way of doing things. Players are transferring out, and yes, there are some players that are getting paid pretty decent money for being at Clemson, but it's not a mercenary program. And you see the better success that they're having in the ACC right now than, say, FSU, which went mercenary. Louisville, kind of a blend, but you see that they're not having all the success that they want. I think that Dabo Swinney has got a good program. It's just not going to be able to be quite at the level of the national championship that he won before. But it doesn't mean that he's less of a coach. And you're seeing that with what his record is now. He's only lost one game, and that one game was to Georgia. So maybe he's not entirely wrong. These 5 programs show how modern college football has evolved. I mean, that it really has. Alabama was the preeminent program for years. And then Kirby Smart came into Georgia, and they didn't surpass Alabama, but they showed that Georgia could be a preeminent program just as well. Tennessee was a losing program for way too long. And now under Josh Heupel, they're scary again. They aren't quite preeminent, but they can be, and they've shown that they really can knock at that door. Ole Miss, on the other hand, rarely, if ever, gets to the point that they are preeminent. They're a good program, they're a solid program, but they don't have the recruiting availability. So Lane Kiffin turned to a different way of doing things. Is his experiment going to work? Well, it's not showing to, but then again, though, like I said, he's bringing in mercenary players. Dabo Swinney, always going to a bowl game, has got national championships under his belt. He has built a program there that rivals the old Clemson teams that were so dominant before. Now, there are mercenary players that aren't really mercenary. You take Diego Pavia. He started out college at the New Mexico Military Institute, then went to New Mexico State, had success there, and now he's at Vanderbilt. And well, he helped beat Alabama. He's showing that he is somebody that can make a difference on a team. But it's not just that. You also have Hendon Hooker, who was a mercenary player, but he also showed that he could buy into a culture. It's not that I have a problem with all people that go in the transfer portal. You have folks coming up from lesser schools or are not getting playtime at other schools, and they're talking with the coaches, and the coaches are like, yeah, you might want to go somewhere else. But then you have people like DJ Ugalugi, or however you pronounce his name, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to disrespect him, but this redneck mouth just does not pronounce some words quite like that. You've got players who want to transfer because they're going to get a chance at better money because they showed that they could do good at high levels, and so they're looking just for money. We can't have that in college football and these teams be able to function correctly. It takes a combination, and you have to find the right players. Okay, well, this is a modern college football realm, and this is what you've got to deal with. Quit complaining about the coaches, folks, because the coaches are having to deal with these situations, and some of them are building decent programs, but they're not able to do what they want to do because, well, the modern shape of things is a pain in the rear end. I don't think that FSU is any less of a program. I don't like FSU, but I don't think they're any less of a program because of what they've got going on this year after what happened last year. You've got to realize that coaches are learning something new. They're having to adapt to something that has never happened before. So quit complaining about them and let them learn what is happening. Let them build up. Yes, Billy Napier flubbed the ball this year, but look how he's slowly getting it figured out. I'm not saying that he should not be fired. I'm just saying that folks have got way too much of expectations right now. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day, and y'all think about this.
Thank you for watching this video. I've had some fairly good success with all of my redneck sports stuff, and I hope you enjoyed the topic. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all that rigmarole, and also just let me know what you want to hear about. I'll give a redneck spin to this stuff. Let me tell you, I love sports. So I love people that want to join me in that. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.